Welcome to this tutorial video. So in today's session we will look at amino acids metabolism. Now this is one of the most important topics in biochemistry because, as you may be aware, unlike other macromolecules that the body stores, like the body is able to store glucose in form of glycogen, the body is able to store fats in terms of triglycerides. However, when you talk about things like proteins, the body doesn't store proteins. And you know very well to say these proteins are made up of what? Amino acids. So it is very important for you as a medical student, as a medical personnel, to understand, to say, how does the body metabolize these amino acids? Because it doesn't store them like it stores glucose. It doesn't store them like it stores fats in form of triglycerides. So it must balance between how they are being, synthesized and how they are being metabolized or removed from the body. So you already know to say amino acids are the building blocks of what? Of proteins. But in this particular video, we want to understand to say, since the body cannot store these amino acids, how does it balance between what it wants and what it must excrete? Because there should always be a balance between what the body is, taking in terms of diet and what the body is eliminating. So these amino acids now, we will see how they can be synthesized and we will see how they can be broken down. Now, coming to the term metabolism, you know what it means already. In my videos, I've been talking about, the meaning of this particular term. So when we're talking about metabolism, we're simply talking about the breaking down of something or the building up of that particular thing. So when we look at amino acid metabolism, we want to understand how can we form these amino acids and how can we break them down. So that's what amino acids metabolism are all about. Now, to start with, we are saying that amino acids are the basic building blocks of what? Proteins. I believe all of us are familiar with that. We know to say these amino acids, they are the basic building blocks of proteins. Before you can call something a protein, it must be built or formed from these single amino acids. So they are very, significant because we know what proteins do in the body. They do a lot of different functions. Okay, so amino acids are the basic building blocks of proteins. Apart from that, I need you to understand that these amino acids, they contain two special groups. They contain two special groups, and that is an amino group, the NH2, and a carboxyl group, this COOH group. We call it the carboxyl group. So each amino acid, regardless of its type and everything, categories, all the amino acids that have got this amino group, which is the NH2 group, and they also have this carboxyl group, whether it's valine, whether it's tyrosine, whatsoever type of amino acid you can think of, they always have these amino groups as well as this carboxyl group. So I hope that is noted. I also want you to know that naturally, we've got 20 naturally occurring amino acids in the natural way. Now, among these 20 naturally occurring amino acids, we specify them or we categorize them into two different many groups. And we have got what we call essential amino acids. So anything essential in biochemistry or in science, you know that that is something that the body cannot produce. The body, something that the body cannot synthesize. So it must obtain that particular, nutrient, okay, from just diet. Because when we say essential, it simply means the body cannot synthesize that. So among these 20 naturally occurring amino acids, we're saying that we've got essential amino acids. And I've written here to say not produced by the human body. So these cannot be synthesized by your body at all. So it simply means they must be obtained through what? Through diet. As you eat, your meat, as you eat different food substances that contain proteins, you are able to obtain these essential amino acids from that diet, from that food, because your body cannot synthesize them. For example, you've got valine, you've got tryptophan, and other essential amino acids that you may come across. Typically speaking, or to be specific, we've got about 9 essential amino acids, and I've indicated here to say these are obtained through diet. All right. Apart from that, since we said we've got 20 naturally occurring amino acids, and we've said only 9 of them are essential. So simply means that we have got the non-essential amino acids. Now, the non-essential amino acids, just from the term non-essential, you can tell that that's the opposite of the essential amino acids. What does it mean? The non-essential amino acids, these can be synthesized by the human body. These can be formed by the body, okay, in a biosynthesis, pathway. So the body is able to synthesize these ones. For example, glycine, alanine, glutamine, glutamate, all those amino acids can be synthesized by the body. And I've indicated to say we've got about 11 non-essential amino acids. So what have we covered? We've said that amino acids are the basic building blocks of what? Of proteins. And we've said these amino acids, they contain two special groups, and that is the amino group, the NH2, and a carboxyl group, the COOH group. We've said we've got 20 naturally occurring amino acids, and among them we've got the what? The essential amino acids, which are just amino acids that the body cannot synthesize. So those amino acids must be obtained through diet. Then we've also said that we've got the non-essential amino acids. Lucky enough, these ones the body can what? Synthesize them. We've got, for example, glycine, alanine, glutamate, glutamine, and we've said that we've got about 11 of them. So having that background, let's see what we have next. So it's very, very important for a student that is, studying a health-related course to be able to understand the general structure of amino acids. Remember I told you that these amino acids, regardless of whatever type you're talking about, they have something in common, and that is what? The amino group, and that is what? The carboxyl group. Now, apart from that, I need you to know that this is the general structure of all amino acids that exist. Okay, all those 20 that I talked about, they have got these three parts in common. So we've got what we call the amino group. First, I think let me start with this central carbon there. So you know very well to say, of course, a carbon atom will always bond to a maximum of what? 4 bonds. So we've got this carbon atom on the central part, then it is linked, okay, or bonded with what? This amino group. Apart from that, there's this carboxyl group. Apart from that, there will always be this hydrogen atom that is attached to this carbon. Apart from that, there will be this last bond, right? Because we've got 1, 2, 3, and the fourth bond. Now, on the R side chain, on this R side chain, this is the part that now differentiates these different types of amino acids. If you are to put, for example, CH2 there, you're going to form a specific type of amino acid. If you are to put CH3 there, you're going to form another different type. What am I saying? I'm saying that this is the general structure of amino acid, such that on whatever type of amino acid, you're going to have this amino group. You're going to have this hydrogen atom there. You're going to have this carboxyl group. And then you're going to have something on the side chain. Now, whatever is going to be on this side chain is what will determine the type of amino acid you're talking about. I'm sure you've heard of something like aromatic amino acids, non-aromatic amino acids, the positively charged, the negatively charged. So if at all you've got something that is positively charged here, it becomes a positive charged amino acid. If you've got something that is negatively charged, it becomes a negatively charged amino acid on this particular side chain. So the R group, the R side chain, is just a part that differentiates different types of what? Amino acids. So we've noted that. So this is going to be the general structure of amino acids. And as we look at these amino acids metabolism, we must understand this because we'll be playing around with this particular amino acid. You see how we'll be transferring it from one part to one other part of these amino acids. So that's why I needed you to at least have an idea of how the general structure of amino acids looks like. Now, coming back to the definitions, we are saying that amino acids, we've already defined this. These are the organic compounds that serve as the building blocks of proteins. That's how you define amino acids. These are organic compounds that serve as the building blocks of proteins. Now, talking about amino acids metabolism, remember that was our topic. So, amino acids metabolism, this refers to the various biochemical processes responsible for synthesis and breakdown of what? Amino acids. Because we've generalized, we've said amino acids metabolism. So we can refer to these amino acids being synthesized. We can also refer to these amino acids being what? Broken down. Collectively, we are going to say that as This is basically amino acids metabolism, which refers to the various biochemical processes that are responsible for what? Synthesizing or synthesis and breakdown of what? Amino acids. So in this video, at the end of this tutorial video, I need you to see how we'll be able to synthesize these amino acids. I need you to be able to identify or understand how we'll be able to what? Break down these amino acids. If you're able to see that, then you're all and good. So let's make progress. Now, talking about the basic function of amino acids, remember I said in general, you know that these amino acids are the building blocks of proteins, right? But they may be just that question that may come, in a test assessments where they'll ask you to say, at least give us 2 or 3 functions of what amino acids. So don't worry, I got you covered. So talking about the functions of amino acids, for example, the first part, okay, that we got from the definition, we're saying that amino acids are building blocks of proteins. So that's the first function. Okay, I know you know a lot about what proteins do. So amino acids being the building blocks of protein tells you how much they're significant. So we're saying that they're the basic components of proteins which are essential for growth, maintenance of what? Body tissues. You've always been taught from primary schools, secondary schools to say, proteins are involved in what? Repairing damaged tissues. And we're saying that these proteins are made from amino acids. So you can see how much amino acids are contributing to this particular concept. So amino acids are the building blocks of what? Of proteins. And these proteins, for example, they are used for growth. They are used for repairing tissues. Apart from that, I need you to know that they are part of what? Enzyme production. Remember, we always say enzymes are what? Are protein in nature. So it simply means that if these amino acids are the ones that are forming these proteins, then basically they are also part of these particular enzymes, because a protein is coming from an amino acid, and then that protein is forming an enzyme. So automatically speaking, we are saying that these amino acids are also involved in what? Enzyme production. We are saying that they are needed in production of what? Enzymes which catalyze biochemical reactions in the body. That is well known. Enzymes just catalyze different reactions in the body. Apart from that, I need you to know that they are also part of what? Hormone regulation. Okay, they are involved in the synthesis of hormones which regulates various body functions. For example, we've got growth and development. So you've got these different hormones that a human being has. Okay, and you find that these particular amino acids are involved in regulating those hormones. So that also plays a vital role, because you don't want a situation where you've got too much hormones or little hormones. Everything must be in what? In equilibrium, so that you perform, or your body performs in a physiological way as a human being, as a healthy human being. So you must understand that these amino acids also contribute to the regulation of those particular hormones. Apart from that, what you must also understand is that amino acids, okay, are also what? They have got immune system function. Immune system function. And remember that it is the immune system that protects us against those, microorganisms that may, induce or cause diseases. Because if we didn't have this immune system, trust me, you may find that people would have just been dying anyhow, because they don't have this immune system. But we've got these amino acids that are part of promoting this immune system function. Why? Because you understand that when you are talking about those antibodies, those immunoglobulins, okay, they are the immunoglobulin G, okay, A, M, all those are protein in nature. They're made up of proteins, you understand? And when you remember, you ask yourself to say, what are these proteins made of? They are made up of what? Amino acids. So automatically amino acids play a part in the immune system functions. You can see amino acids are necessary for production of what? Antibodies, which help to fight off infections and diseases. So this is the general picture that I needed you to understand about the functions of what? Amino acids. 1, building blocks of proteins. 2, enzyme production, hormone regulation, and immune system function. So those functions must be well understood, and at least you must know the 4 of them. So having looked at that, let's look at something important as well, which is also classification of amino acids. So I know that you have an idea to say there are different amino acids that exist. Like I said, I've said we've got 20 naturally occurring amino acids. And I'm sure you saw what I was doing. I said we've got the essential ones and the non-essential ones. So what I did was just one way in which we can classify those amino acids. Now, I want us to look at other different ways in which we can classify those amino acids. By classification, we simply mean putting them in specific groups depending on their what? Characteristics. So for example, you can classify amino acids depending on the side chain. Remember I told you about the side chain. This side chain, let me show you, this side chain. So you can classify these amino acids depending on what? On this side chain. Alright? That's one way you can do it. So what are we saying on the side chain? We are saying that according to the side chain or the R group, we've got what we call the polar, non-polar amino acids, positively charged and negatively charged amino acids. So you are classifying them depending on the what? On the side chain, on the R group. So if at all you've got a molecule, right, or a group of, compound that is positively charged on the side chain, it simply means that amino acid in general is going to be what? Positively charged. If at all it's negatively charged, it's going to be what? Negatively charged. If it has got a negative charge on that particular side chain, it will become negatively charged. On the polar part, it would depend whether they're just, for example, if you've got a compound on that side chain which just has hydrocarbon chains, the CH, kind of bonds, automatically it becomes what? It becomes, non-polar. Okay, it becomes non-polar because of those hydrocarbon chains. So, classification of amino acids, we're saying that according to the side chain or the R group, we can classify that as what? Being polar, being non-polar, positively charged, negatively charged, aromatic, non-aromatic, and all those parts. Apart from that, we can also classify amino acids based on what? On the nutritional needs. Remember, we said we've got the essential and the non-essential. So refer to the previous slide. I've already talked about this. So remember I said the essential ones, these are just the ones that the body can produce. Then the non-essential ones, on the essential ones I said these are the ones that the body cannot produce. So they must be obtained through diet. Then on the non-essential ones, these may be synthesized by the body. For example, the alanine, the glutamine, the glutamate, all those part of amino acids, those are non-essential. Why? Because the body can synthesize them. And lucky enough, in this video, you'll be able to see how we can synthesize that alanine, how we can synthesize that glutamine, looking using different methods, that we're going to cover. Apart from that, now this part, I need you to be able to take it seriously because this is the main classification that I'm going to focus on in this particular video. So we're saying that apart from amino acids being classified depending on the side chain or the R group, apart from them being classified depending on the nutritional needs, these amino acids can also be classified according to metabolic activity. According to metabolic activity, it's like when these amino acids are being broken down, when they're being metabolized, are they forming something that is special that can be used by the body in a different way? So, for example, we've got what we call glucogenic amino acids. You can see in the brackets, it's written to say these can form glucose. So, when you are being asked, what is the metabolic classification of amino acids? We've got two main classifications. We've got two main metabolic classifications. We've got what we call glucogenic and ketogenic. So it's like when you're talking about glucogenic amino acids, that's from the term glucogenic. So genic simply means we're trying to, from the word genesis, we're trying to synthesize something. Then we've got gluco. So we're trying to form glucose. So now we're saying that these amino acids, the glucogenic ones, can form glucose. I know you may be confused how. We're going to look at that, don't worry. So these amino acids which are glucogenic, after you metabolize them, after you break them down, that part that you're going to remain with when you break them down is the one that can be used to form what? Glucose. We'll look at the examples, don't worry. Then we also have what we call ketogenic amino acids. I've already a video on ketogenesis, and I've explained in that particular video to say ketones, they're just energy molecules that can be used during starvation to be able to produce what? Acetyl-CoA. So what does it mean? When you metabolize these types of amino acids, they can form what we call ketone bodies. So we refer to those amino acids as what? Being ketogenic. They can form ketones. So you see that after you break down these amino acids, after you metabolize them, you find that you're going to obtain structures or carbon skeletons that can be used to form glucose, and we refer to those as what? Being glucogenic amino acids. Then there can be some type of amino acids, after you metabolize them, after you break them down or degrade them, they can form what? Ketones. So we're going to say, these are going to be ketogenic amino acids. So I hope that is well understood. So exactly what I was talking about. Remember I said I'm going to focus on this part of what? Class. So for example, we're saying classification according to metabolic activity. So ketogenic amino acids, we've got these two. We've got lysine and leucine. So when you metabolize these amino acids, when you break them down, let me just zoom in for you. You can form carbon skeletons that are able to form glucose, or you can form structures or molecules that can form what? Ketones. I said glucose. So when you are talking about ketogenic amino acids, remember lysine, leucine,